Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Vallabha
Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Krishnanandanam Vrajajana
Jamunatira Vanachari
Jamunatira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Bihari
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devi Saraswati Vyasam
Tato Jayamudirahe
Tato Jayamudiraye
Prayeshu Abhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavate Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Bhakti Bhagavati Naishtiki.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter number 5, text number 12. I am just typing this for everyone's benefit. Naishkarmyam api achyuta bhava varjitam
Naishkarmya api achyuta bhava varichatam
na shobhate jnanam alam niranjanam
na shobhate jnanam alam niranjanam
Kutha puna sashvat abhadram ishvare na charpitam karma yad api karanam
Na charpitam karma karanam
Naishkarmya api achyuta bhava varjitam
Naishkarmya achyuta bhava varjitam
na shobhate jnanamalam niranjanam
Na shobhate jnanam alam niranjanam
Kutha puna sashvatam abhadram ishvare
Uttam shashvat abhadram ishvare
na charpitam karma yad api karanam
Na charpitam karma yadapya karanam.
Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature, if they are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord? Purport. As referred to above, not only ordinary literature devoid of the transcendental glorification of the Lord are condemned, but also Vedic literatures and speculations on the subject of the impersonal Brahman, which, when they are devoid of the devotional service, when speculation on the impersonal Brahman is condemned on the above ground, then what to speak of ordinary fruitive work, which is not meant to fulfill the aim of devotional service? Such speculative knowledge and the fruitive work cannot lead one to the goal of perfection. Fruitive work, in which almost all people in general are engaged, is always painful, either in the beginning or at the end. It can be fruitful only when made subservient to the devotional service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, also it is confirmed that the result of such fruitive work may be offered for the service of the Lord, otherwise it leads to material bondage. The bona fide enjoyer of the fruitive work is the personality of Godhead, and thus when it is engaged for the sense gratification of the living beings, it becomes an acute source of trouble. This is in relation to Srila Prabhupada's purport from the first canto, 5th chapter, 12th verse, Narada's instructions to Srila Vyasadeva. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjan Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapdantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapadakam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sakjatam Sagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijan Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jalapade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Taptaganchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusude Devi Pranamami Haripri Vanchakalpatarvyascha Kapasindebhya Vachapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Nam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharanini Vishesha Shunyavadi Vastyata Deshadharani Mukhaṁ Karati Vacham Bangalangaitagiri Yakabhatam Vande Shri Gurun Dintam Paramanandamatam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat Nilachala Nivasaya Nitya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannathaite. This is fantastic verse. First of all, welcome all for a Sunday morning program. I'm sure that every one of us are getting enlivened because this is so intense and it's fantastic. You don't even have few minutes time to think about anything else. 7 o'clock in the morning till around 8:30, 9 o'clock, it is really, really blissful period. I always feel that this Sunday morning program is like how we used to go to the temple on Sunday mornings, and it is more actually, even in the temple, you have a little time for spacing out, but here you don't have one program over the other. Tulsi Puja over, chanting starts, chanting completes, something else starts. So, like that. So it is very, very enlivening, but I'm sure that many people will take advantage of this. This is all the grace of the Lord, Prabhupada's grace, that we are able to have all these things in even though we are not in COVID times, but looks like it is more than COVID times. So it's very nice and very enthusiastic. I really appreciate and also my indebted pranams to all those wonderful devotees who are enthusiastically participating in this. And I only can humbly request to keep it going strong. Okay, coming back to this verse, this is a very informative and very, very important verse. We actually touched upon the last before week when we discussed the one of the most important verses. Srila Prabhupada actually in the first canto book itself, he has printed this particular verse, which is first canto, 5th chapter, 11th verse. Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo yasmin pratishloke abhadyavati api Namani Anantasya Ashwani Nikaniyat Shunvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadhavaha. So the literatures that is which is full of description of the transcendental glories of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna about the names, forms, pastimes, eternities, which is unlimitedly presented, right? Even though it is created, it may have all focus. What is it focused for? To bring that transcendental information to this actually misdirected society, right? Where the impious people exist for eternity. So this kind of literature may probably be created or being authored in an imperfect manner in terms of grammatical errors or consonant or poetic methods of presentation, right? But that's not very important because the purified people or the saints just simply accept it in a very honest pattern. Why they do that? Because you see, the most important of all this information, Prabhupada explains, the knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material and affinity, does not look well if devoid of any conception of infallible Supreme Lord. What then is the use of fruitive activities which are naturally painful from the beginning and transient by nature? They are not utilized for, if they are not utilized for the glories of the devotion service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So basically, we are actually in a process of re-educating ourselves with the fundamental essential values, which is so much essential that it can actually redirect our focus from the heart to the Supreme Lord's lotus feet. So this chapter, once again, is dealing with Vyasadeva, just getting greater in level of instructions from Narada Rishi. So now we can practically see that Vyasadeva is actually discussing different kinds of literature. He is not just presenting only the Supreme Lord's Srimad Bhagavatam or Puranas or Itihasas. He is also talking about, it's been explained that any literature, however nicely prepared, maybe it is so perfect in grammatical way or poetic way, but if there is no information of the absolute truth in totality, such literatures are simply a useless effort. And no saintly person will even contemplate to take any interest in such literatures. Prabhupada gives the example. Actually, this Prabhupada actually gave a lecture on this in 1969 in New Vrindavan on this particular verse, and on not just this verse, a couple of other verses also. Tadvag Visargo. That's when it got printed in the first edition of Srimad Bhagavatam. So just like the swans, they do not take pleasure in the place where the crows can take pleasure. What the crows look for? Only garbage. What the swans look for? Only pure love, right? These are the clear distinction between a crow and a swan, even in the bird's kingdom or the animal kingdom. So what to speak about human lives? We need to show that kind of a differentiation. Otherwise, where is the question of difference between us and the animals? There's no point claiming ourselves to be rationalistic persons. It's just a waste of time, right? Prabhupada explains in a very vivid manner here. Similarly, the saintly people, right? The saintly persons, those who are always Krishna conscious, right? What is the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita speaks about? The four important shlokas, 10.8, 9, 10, 11, right? The great devotees take pleasure in glorifying the Lord and hearing about the Lord's pastimes. That's their only job. They're not interested. Their taste is completely different from the people who are just like crows, right? That's why they're Krishna conscious people. They're very saintly in its nature, always in the mode of super goodness, always thinking about Krishna, always thinking about how we can present the Krishna conscious philosophy to the downtrodden people, right? Crows are interested in only things which are only garbage, right? Prabhupada gives this wonderful example of uh, in Bhagavatam itself. He gives the example of a camel. A camel is so interested to eat the bushes and shrubs in the desert, like the cactus. Cactus is one plant which grows in abundance, right? So it tries to eat it, but it actually is not understanding that when it actually eats the cactus, the thorns in the cactus also is going to push and pull and prick this camel's tongue, but that's not very palatable anyway. But the camel wants to eat it. It's chewing it. It's chewing again and again and again and again. What happens in that process? Punach punach charvita charvananam, chewing the chewed. So this is the nature in which it's actually taking pleasure. The materialistic people take pleasure with the same thing. The camel is doing the same thing. It's eating the bush, which is full of thorns, but it cuts the tongue, it bleeds, it feels very happy. Oh, I'm relishing this. This is a new taste. This is what this materialistic set of people always think of, how to improve my materialistic condition, right? This is not going to be of any use. You can practically see where is this taste. This is absolutely crap taste. We can see for ourselves in our own level, right? Past few years, how we were, how we are practicing now, what were we, what kind of taste we had, and what kind of taste we have got now. Such a refinement which has happened in all our activities, whether it's in our taste of food, whether in the taste of our understanding the knowledge base, whether we are taste of connecting with the right set of people, right? So many aspects, so many elements in our own practice, in our own life at this moment of time. Compare yourself. That's the barometer check, right? How we were. But naturally, in this material world, the activities are all only based on these purusharthas: dharma, artha, kama, moksha very rarely, but 99.99% of the people are only interested in this dharma, artha, kama, right? Economic development all the time, sense enjoyment to the best of their abilities, best of both worlds. So this is actually a key concept in Hinduism also, which holds that every human being should have some kind of a proper goal sets. But fact is, that's not the truth. Many families are desperately looking for happiness, but they're looking at the wrong place, right? We know that what happened during the pre-conditions of COVID and the post-conditions of traumatic situations in the post-COVID life. In every single family, we have gone through so many of turbulence, right? This material activities, which are happening in again and again to a larger extent, is only because they don't have a clear case or clear set of information gathering with them. Nate vidhu swartagatim hi Vishnu, right? Durashaya Bahi Arthamanina. Srimad Bhagavatam explains in the first, seventh canto, Prahlad Maharaj advises his own father, who is a super personality. You name it, he had it. He is not just austerity personified. He knew every single knowledge base in this world. He was such a brilliant, just like Ravana. Ravana is called Mahapandit. He is Mahagyani. He means he's got immense resonant knowledge, but all used in the wrong path. The path was used in the wrong fashion. He knew every single thing, you name it. He is an authority in politics. He is an authority in diplomacy. He is an authority in fact, Lord Rama himself suggested when Ravana dies, almost he is in the deathbed, he suggests Lakshmana to go and seek that resonant knowledge which Ravana has, because no one else in the entire world could have that amount of resonant knowledge in terms of politics, diplomacy, kingsmanship, so many things which are related to how a ruler should lead. But he had all this in his brain, but he never used it. In the same way, the materialistic people in this world has many information. It's only information how to improve their standing in their materialistic activity. So Prahlad Maharaj explained this, Nate Vidu Swartagatimi Vishnu. You got to be selfish. For whom? To the Supreme Lord Sri Vishnu. When his father inquired, where did you get all these kind of ideas and thoughts? Right? Prahlad Maharaj was a super devotee. Prahlad Maharaj's father, Hiranyakashipu, was a super atheist. He didn't believe in anything. So this is exactly what is happening with all kinds of world activities and among the devotees. With the devotees, the purified consciousness is existing, and they always seek for higher taste. Param Dishta Nivartate. The more we get into that kind of flavoring, the more closer we'll actually come to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Otherwise, we are trying to create unnecessary necessities of life and trying to get entangled again and again. So the devotees also should be very careful about that. It's very easy to get entangled in this world. Daiviyesha gunamami ma maya durataya. It's not so easy. You have to take the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, we are going to get entangled. Maya is not going to allow us to be happy in this material world. This is basically created for a temporary situation, and for this is going to have a lot of impediments. But if we are trying to build a castle in this place, how do you expect this place to be an extraordinarily blissful place for any one of us? So, but if someone becomes Krishna conscious, someone becomes very interested in Krishna's pastimes, activities, Krishna's devotees' pastimes, activities, then he becomes ultimately very distasteful in all the activities which he was performing. We can see for ourselves, right? Maybe 10 years back or 15 years back or 5 years back or some few years back, we all had this kind of things. Oh, this is a beautiful book called Sports Star, or some other book, maybe Filmfare, or some books which are actually giving us some kind of a sense enjoying taste, right? About a hero, about a heroine, about an actor or actress, or about a cricket player or a football player or whatever, right? We were thinking that they were our role models. But somehow or the other, when we started understanding and learning about them, they are in such a bad shape, and they were in such a bad shape. They think that the entire world is only what they are doing. It is very selfish, self-centered. But here, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, Nate viduhu swarthagatimi Vishnu. Means you have to be selfish. But for what? To acquire the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, not for anything else. So this is very, very important. Krishna conscious means bhakti parishanubhava virakti anyatra syat. This is again explained in the 11th canto. This references for this particular verse is spread all across the entire Bhagavatam, stretch of Bhagavatam. I was just going through these few references, which says that those who do not have taste for Krishna consciousness, they are trying to be happy in a place where their happiness doesn't literally exist. Unnecessarily, they are increasing their material demands, which is actually going to entangle them very much to extent where they are not able to come out of this. This is called Andakupa, means dark, very dried well. Andakupa. It's a miserable life, but we don't think that it's miserable. But unless until you identify that it's miserable place, you will not come to the next level of understanding, okay, what is the place which is more safer? So as soon as we get engaged in some kind of a devotion service, just like how we are all here today in the morning, spending time in knowing about Krishna, in being with Krishna's devotees, in taking that association, right? Machita madgata prana bodha intasta parasparam kata intasta maam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So this love we are trying to build up, we are trying to understand, we are trying to take it to the next level of our own practice, right? That is devotional service. That is love coming directly from the spiritual realm. This is what is actually needed. All other things are just simply a waste of time. So that's why Prabhupada explains that param dishtva nivartate. We have to go to that higher taste and then realize the abominable taste in this material world we are actually living in. There is a beautiful pastime which Prabhupada actually explained this to one of his earliest devotees. Her name is Govinda Dasi. She was actually the first personal secretary to Srila Prabhupada. So where she was staying in Hawaii, and Prabhupada explains that in the olden days, how the situations was very, very traumatizing, even in India, because there was plagues, there was World War. We are talking about in Calcutta, in India, and all those things. So we are in the 1940s kind of thing. So then Prabhupada explains this. In those days, Prabhupada's spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, he used to travel extensively to Bangladesh, to Burma, Rangoon, and different places. So one time when he went to Rangoon, which is in Burma's capital, so he was staying in an apartment or in a place of colony of place. So Prabhupada explains this story, how horrible these materialistic people are. I don't know whether you have heard this past time. This is when I just read this, not now, many years back, and I felt, oh my God, what are we doing and why are we in this place? And when Prabhupada explains this pastime to Govinda Dasi, um, Prabhupada says that Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada used to cook everything first class because he had gone to a place where there was no Krishna conscious center. So he wanted to uh, start a new center like a Namata programs and all that. So he wanted to have a center in Burma. So he went there and he was an expert cook. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada was an expert cook. So he started cooking nice puris in ghee. So when this, the aromatic form of ghee comes out, some people say, no, I cannot take this taste. So people in that colony, they were closing their mouth and going out. And they are saying, what are these people cooking? It is something, the smoke is coming and it is very obnoxious. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada was wondering, what? Then he went for a walk, and that time he saw that in everyone's house, outside the house, they used to have a pot. This pot had a lid and it had a pot. It was a wooden pot, not a wooden, what do you call, earthen pot. And he was wondering, what is it? And then one of the people there, they said that any animals, which is like a rat or a cat or a dog, which gets died, so they put it in that pot and they keep it for 2 years. And that 2 years, it will start, whatever you call, decomposing or stinking or whatever. That in that, there is a white color fluid, which actually, man, I can't say anything further. I will probably puke myself. Such a distasteful human beings exist in this world. That kind of white fluid which comes out in that particular the pot, they take little bit of that and add it to their regular dishes, which they do it for their festivities. If there is, let us say, Diwali, we have a festival called Diwali, and you can imagine putting this stupid stuff which they created out and putting it in one of your preparations. And that they think that it's extraordinarily grateful feeling, right? This is the kind of situation we are all actually living in. So the test is in your hands, in each one of our hands, right? You don't need to ask anyone else. How am I increasing myself in Krishna consciousness? What is it that I actually got? Have I got something what I really needed, or I'm looking for something else, right? If naturally, if you're hungry, and it's very very obvious that you start eating, but moment you start eating, right, at one point of time you feel that your hunger is satisfied, and also you will feel that kind of a strength which is generating into my system because of the food, and you will feel happiness, right? You don't need to ask anyone else about how am I progressing myself in Krishna consciousness in that manner. But this is the taste. What is the taste? The taste is higher taste, and the test is that disinterested in all the materialistic activities which we actually are getting entangled with. So here, Narad Rishi is very clean and clear. He is giving you pakka information to Srila Vyasadeva. He is saying that even in the kind of ordinary literatures which are there, which has so much of information about all this materialistic world which we are living in, and they think that's dynamic, which is not. Yesterday's newspaper is an old story. We don't touch the yesterday's newspaper today because newspaper today is a new thing, right? So no more Grama Katha. We are not interested in these Grama Kathas. We are only understanding our concepts. We are only interested in Krishna Katha, right? That is why Prabhupada explains that even Vyasadeva was the ultimate authority of Vedic literatures, right? He is the Lord himself in the literary incarnation, right? So Narada Rishi is advising Vyasadeva, you have written so many information, so many compilations, right? You wrote this Mahabharata, which actually is a great epic. Mahabharata means great epic, right? Greater Indian epic or greater Bharat epic, right? But most of the time, these histories are all about worldly kind of people, right? What is the benefit we are going to gain by that? Narada Rishi is trying to chastise Vyasadeva and saying that if there is nothing called the Supreme Lord presented directly to bring that devotional revolution in your heart to the Supreme Lord's lotus feet, the saintly people will not even bother to even come near it. They are not interested in all these things. Even though Mahabharata was written, right, it gives some kind of a Vedic information, but it has a lot of things. But that's not for normal set of people. Sri Shudra Dvija Bandhunam, right? The Vedic literature is not so easy to understand. So not to the people who are of these kind of classes. Men and women who are of a very low class. We are not talking about devotees here. Devotees are Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. We are talking about the people who are twice borns. They are not even connected to the mainstream of Krishna conscious practice people, right? Vyasadeva wrote all this. Mahabharata, great literature. This kind of literature will not appeal to the saintly set of devotees. They are not bothered about it. Okay, it's a good story and I'm happy to hear. But why they are connected with Mahabharata? They are connected because the song of God was spoken in that. And then the great two devotees are actually discussing, the Pancha Pandavas, the great devotees, are discussing very, very finer aspects of all this. And Arjuna, being the instrument at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, is ready to accept that kind of instructions. That is why we are interested in Mahabharata in that sense. Otherwise, it's just another story. But it's very, very useful, covering many, many subject matters, whether it's politics, whether it's entertainment, whether it's valor, or any other aspects. But here, Narada Rishi is giving straightforward instructions. You be very sure about it, Vyasadeva. Each and every instruction Narada Rishi gives to Vyasadeva is like diamonds or pearls. Even such literatures, it may have broken languages, may not be properly presented through grammatical view or through a poetic form, right? That kind of literature is not so greatly appreciated by these worldly class of men. But if that kind of literature, which glorifies the Supreme Lord, the saintly persons are not bothered about all those other aspects of its integrities, but they simply accept it and they simply hear it, they simply chant it, they simply meditate on it and live on this. That is why it's very important for all of us to spend time understanding Srila Prabhupada's literatures, Srila Prabhupada's translations and purports in each of this. Unless until we have this eye drops of love, we cannot see the differentiation between the materialistic set of people and the Supreme Lord's devotees. We have to get to that ointment. We need that. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achinta Gunaswarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. This is what we actually, Brahma Samhita explains this. Lord Brahma is saying that you have to have that ointment of love. Only then we really, really see that Santas Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. These Santas, the sages, Pantas to Koti Satavatsara Sambragamyor. These saints are meditating. There are so many devotees and so many set of people, right? The people like yogis, they are sitting and meditating for millions and millions of years. For what? Just getting the glimpse of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Here is a set of devotees. They are not at all bothered about anything happening in their own life. They are only bothered about to hear these great pastimes. What did Krishna do this? What did Krishna's devotees do this? How is the relation between the Lord and these devotees? How did the Lord, out of his causeless grace, came out of the pillar just to make sure that his great devotee is protected, his great devotee is glorified? That is love. That is all about Krishna consciousness. And we, each and every one of us, and have the potential. We've been empowered. We have been given this chance to know about the Supreme Lord, to know about the Supreme Lord's wonderful devotees, and then, without any offense, chant the glories of the holy name and practice Krishna consciousness to the best of our abilities, and then share this love with others. Once we start sharing it, you will literally see how much love will blossom in your heart. When does the love stops? Only when you shut your heart's doors, right? Because there is no way you can go inside and penetrate. But the moment you open the heart, moment you open yourself, that love will automatically come. This love is what he wants to, Narada Rishi wants Vyasadeva to present it to the world. That think about the Supreme Lord, think about the pastimes of the Lord, meditate on it, act in such a manner that pleases the Supreme Lord. Krishna is there in everyone's heart, right? Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtam matar smritir jnanam apanamcha. He is the personality who is all the time ready, relishing, wait. What are these devotees talking about? Right? There is some wonderful pastimes of about the Alvars in the South India, right? They all the time think about the Lord, all the time discuss about the Lord's pastimes. They are parshads of the Lord, and they are the ones who are actually bringing some wonderful pastimes. And this is very important for us to understand more and more about these great devotees, more and more about the Supreme Lord's pastimes with these devotees. So let's spend some time understanding the purports of Srila Prabhupada every day without fail, every day. Just like we have a wonderful initiative which has come through now, that we have Telugu Bhagvatam being every Tuesdays and Fridays. We have started it, and then every day in the night, just before we all sleep or take rest, and we have got a Bhagavatam going on. So many devotees are connecting just for half an hour. It relishes. It actually purifies our whole day's tensions, pressures. And this is the best methods of how we can become more and more Krishna conscious. Whether we are actively in the day or when we are even resting, we contemplate on this, right? So this is what is needed. Whether you are sleeping, you are taking rest, or when you are actively doing something, if you are Krishna centric, then it's all great. That is what is needed for all of us. I'll stop here. If there is any questions, comments, or reflections, I'd be happy to take it. And this is very essential for all of us. Even though we are such a far away distance from the actual pastimes which occurred in this world when we are in as a human beings, but we are still connected. This is the causeless grace of Srila Prabhupada. He brought Krishna to our home. He brought Krishna to our bedrooms, and he brought Krishna to our living rooms, right? Now we can see it for sure. Every devotee is only contemplating on this. Saturday evenings, we are all looking forward for that kirtans. That kirtans are relishing because Krishna is there. The love is blossoming. He is the king of love. Okay. Further, we'll actually read this particular chapter is very essential as a part of the Bhagavatam. Narada Rishi's instructions to Srila Vyasadeva. The previous verse is a very good verse to meditate and also to by heart with the translation. And also, it is very important. And then the second verse, that is today's verse, also 12th verse, also is pretty important. So we need to contemplate on it. Okay. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Vishal Prabhu, Hare Krishna, everyone. Prabhu, thank you so much for a lovely class. While people are thinking about what to ask you, I thought, just quickly mention what you mentioned. It was nice to hear that, we have to put Krishna in the center of everything, basically, the gist of your class, and that, I like what you said in the beginning, that, even if the knowledge is useless, that's what we asked, Narabuni was saying to Vyasdev, your knowledge is useless unless we put Krishna in the center, unless you glorify Krishna. So likewise, what you've been saying to us today is like, whatever we do, it's pointless really, unless we put Krishna in the center of our lives. So thank you so much for pointing that out to us. It was really nice to hear from you again. Yeah, if anybody would like to ask any questions, any knowledge, share any knowledge there, any comments. I don't think anybody's. I don't know if you
Good.
chat now.
That
Let me
means
just check
it's all
the
good.
chat. Thank you.
I
Not
see
yet.
Sushant Prabhu. Sushant Prabhu raised. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So nice class. Like I just said, due to Prabhupada's blessings, we are so lucky to get myself. I feel a lot of like love from all the devotees. Last 3 or 4 year back, 5 year different. Now I feel completely different.
Mm.
Thank you for all the blessings and great association. Especially like we feel like every day some festivals happening, and like kids also enjoying in Sunday activities, garden allotment, Saturday kirtan, Wednesday footfall, Friday footfall. So all the thing in Bhagavatam every day night. Thank you, and Mataji and everyone.
Thanks to the Supreme Lord, thanks to Srila Prabhupada. So he has empowered all of us and we should do it. Otherwise, what's the point in being a human? Today we are able to be here, so we should take advantage of it. Next moment, we don't know who is going to be here in this planet or not. It includes you, me, everyone. We should take this as a great opportunity that Krishna has given this human form of life. And Krishna has given us a chance to be connected with the devotees and to be with him. Now, if we don't do it now, then there's no point later on you cribbing that I didn't get a chance. And then that's not good practice. So that's the idea. The idea is to be always Krishna conscious, never forget Krishna. So whatever activities you do should only bring that love connected with him. Anya abhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulena Krishna anushilanam bhakti ruttamam. When we have that kind of activities happening, that which is anukulya, it's always favorable. Take that. That which is unfavorable, just relinquish. Don't come nearby it also. That's the practice. Okay.
Especially the Prasadam Mahaprasada Govinda. After learning that, I feel Prasad is different.
Yes, the same food. There is no difference. The same rice, dal sabji which you make 10 years back, and now you are making. If you are not Krishna conscious at that time and now, the same food. We are not changing any other food. Do you think you are changing? No, the same dalma rice is what you are taking, right? So, but this has something else which we cannot explain.
Thank you. Thanks.
The devotees say it is the saliva of the Lord, but the taste completely different. I can make out myself, though maybe when you go outside to eat in someone's place, and when you come back and then say, just offer some. The difference in taste, difference in consciousness, difference in that happiness, so much of love is there in that personally. So that is something which we don't know. I at least don't know how to explain it to you. But it is there. It's very, very evident that Krishna's personal presence is there in that Shiva, in that prasadam. That's why Prabhupada says that you are relishing Krishna's prasadam as remnants. So it's important. Yeah. Someone else has raised the hands. BRS.
Hare
Krishna.
Shrikant Prabhu.
Oh, okay. Rename your phone, Prabhuji.
Sure, I'll do that, Prabhuji. Yeah, yeah, Prabhuji, I think kirtans are so good that you feel completely blissful in the Krishna's love. So thank you so much for all that, and thanks to Krishna, and thanks to Prabhupada, and thanks to you and all the team. Prabhuji wanted to ask was you mentioned about Telugu classes, so just wanted more information like when that happens, because generally these were evening 9 o'clock class we are attending, but I wanted to understand Telugu one.
Telugu classes happen at 8:30 to 9. This happens. Please get in touch with Vishwanath Prabhu. He will send you the link, or with Bindu Mataji. She can also send the link. So this is for all the Telugu speaking, because we wanted to encourage everyone to actually connect to their mother tongue. So, in fact, we are very happy if someone else is taking the initiative to do something in Hindi, because there are many Hindi-speaking devotees who would want to relish Srimad Bhagavatam in their own mother tongue. So, if we are able to do that, so please get in touch with me. Then we can do something about it. It can be just say half an hour, maybe 2 days a week, or if you have more time, maybe 3 days a week also is good. Because but our English sessions are going on every day from 9 o'clock to 9:30, and we stop sharply and we don't discuss anything. It's just reading from Srila Prabhupada's book. We read the shloka, we read the translation, we read the purports of Srila Prabhupada, and we are almost in the second canto now. So it's very, very amazing, very feeling. In fact, we know that there is one devotee here in our group here, Saravanan Prabhu. He is not here, he is in Finland. The time difference is almost like 2 hours from here, and he waits for it before he goes to sleep. You can imagine there must be some higher taste. Otherwise, how will a person do it every day? So this is very essential for all of us. That Prabhupada has given us. He has given the blood and sweat and everything, you name it. He has just completely empowered that in the Srimad Bhagavatam pages. Right? He is a book Bhagavata. He is a person Bhagavata, and he has given us such a wonderful literature. Right? This kind of literature I have never come across. You name it, you have such beautiful pastimes. And this is so much of happiness. You just touch Bhagavatam, read little bit, hear little bit. There is also audio files of His Holiness Amala Bhakta Swami. You can also hear to it on a daily routine when you're cooking or when you're cleaning something. It's the same audio of the same literature, Srimad Bhagavatam translation and the shlokas. And it's so beautiful. It's very relishing. So looking for it. So if anyone wants to connect with Vishwanath Prabhu or with Bindu Mataji, we will try to post it in all the groups. I will ask Chaitanya Prabhu to post it in all the groups about the Telugu Bhagavatam studies, which is for 30 minutes. And that will be a great effort for all of us. So I wanted something similar in Hindi. Maybe I don't know whether Ramnath Singh Prabhu or someone else can take the initiative and see whether we can do something in Hindi. Maybe later on we can evolve it to Gujarati, to Oriya, Tamil. Someone else can do Tamil. So we will do that. Okay. Anything else, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, I think Santoshi Mataji has highlighted that she'll be interested in Telugu language as well. So
We'll post it in the groups, Mataji. Today we'll post it in the groups.
Yeah, I think BTM we can post it and then people can.
And then to every place it can go on. Okay.
We'll
post
thank you very
it.
much, Prabhu.
Okay.
Thank you for enlightening us.
Mantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Tagore Premanande.
His Grace Vishal Gauranga Prabhu ki jai. Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for joining.